The sudden invasion. The night sky was calm. Stars shined brightly over the earth, unaware of what was coming. It was just another ordinary evening, until the first explosion lit up the sky. It started without warning. A massive alien fleet appeared in Earth's orbit. Hundreds of enormous ships, black as the void, blocked the sun. They did not send a message. They did not ask for surrender. They simply attacked. Fire rained down from the heavens as energy blasts tore through the sky. Cities erupted into chaos as buildings collapsed. Streets were filled with screams. People ran, but there was nowhere to hide. In just minutes, the world changed forever. The first attack. Washington, D.C. was the first to fall. The White House was reduced to rubble. The Pentagon burned. Fighter jets scrambled to the skies, trying to fight back, but their missiles did nothing against the enemy's advanced shields. The alien ships moved with terrifying speed, their weapons cutting through Earth's defenses like paper. Across the ocean, Paris, London, and Beijing faced the same fate. No country was safe. The aliens struck every major city at the same time, crushing the world's governments in a single night. In space, the International Space Station picked up the first transmission from the alien fleet. The astronauts barely had time to send a warning before the station was vaporized. The last message they sent was broken, filled with static, but their final words sent chills through every military base that received them. They are here. We cannot stop them. God help us. Signal cuts out. The enemy revealed. The creatures were called the Vorin. No one knew their origins. No one understood their purpose. But one thing was clear. They were not here to negotiate. The first video footage of them came from a soldier's body camera in New York. The recording, later recovered from the ruins, showed a monstrous figure stepping through the smoke. It was over 7 feet tall, covered in thick black armor. Its glowing yellow eyes scanned the battlefield like a predator searching for prey. Sharp, clawed hands gripped a terrifying weapon, an energy rifle that burned through concrete. The soldier fired. The bullets bounced off. The creature turned, its mouth curling into what looked like a cruel smile. Then, with a single shot, the screen went black. Humanity was outmatched. The collapse of Earth's defenses. The world's militaries tried to fight back. They launched tanks, jets, and warships. They fired missiles, but nothing worked. The Vorin ships had shields that deflected all attacks. Their weapons melted steel in seconds. In less than 48 hours, Earth's greatest military forces were gone. Cities turned to ruins. Communication networks failed. Governments collapsed. The human race, once proud and powerful, was now on the brink of extinction. But even in the darkness, there was hope. The last survivors. Not all humans were wiped out. Some survived in underground bunkers, hidden military bases, or deep in the mountains. They watched as the world fell apart, but they refused to give up. One of these survivors was Commander Ethan Cole, a highly skilled strategist. He had been stationed at a top-secret military base in the Rocky Mountains when the attack began. His base was untouched, for now. He gathered the last remaining soldiers, engineers, and scientists. If humanity was to survive, they had to fight back. But how? The Vorin were too powerful. Earth's weapons were useless, and time was running out. Then, something unexpected happened. One of the alien ships crashed. It fell in the wastelands outside of Nevada. No one knew why. No one understood how. But it was a chance, a small crack in the enemy's armor. If humans could study the alien technology, maybe they could find a way to win. Ethan knew this was their only hope. The final counterattack had to begin. A dark future awaits. As Ethan looked at the ruined world on the satellite screen, he clenched his fists. Humanity had lost the first battle. Millions were dead. Cities were gone. But the war was not over yet. Somewhere out there, hidden deep within the alien fleet, was their weakness. They had to find it. They had to strike back. And when they did, The XL Vorin would regret ever coming to Earth. The last survivors. The world had changed. Once, Earth's cities had been full of life. Bright lights, busy streets, endless voices. Now, they were silent. Smoke rose from the ruins. The air smelled of ash and death. Humanity's once great civilization had been reduced to a graveyard, but not all had perished. Beneath the destruction, in the shadows of a fallen world, the last survivors prepared for what was coming next. The hidden bunker. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, inside a hidden military bunker, Commander Ethan Cole stood before a small group of survivors. They were soldiers, scientists, and engineers, the last hope of humanity. The bunker, known as Fort Jericho, was an underground fortress built during the Cold War. It was meant to withstand nuclear war, but now it was humanity's last sanctuary. The people inside were safe, for now, but Ethan knew the truth. We cannot stay here forever. The aliens were still hunting. Every day, their warships patrolled the skies, searching for the last human outposts. It was only a matter of time before they found this place. They had to act first. The crashed alien ship. Then came the news. A recon team had discovered something unbelievable. A crashed alien ship in the Nevada wastelands. It was the first and only sign that the XL Vorin were not invincible. Something had brought that ship down, and whatever it was, humans needed to find out. Ethan wasted no time. He gathered his best soldiers and led a mission to investigate. They traveled under the cover of night, moving through the wastelands in armored vehicles. The land was a dead zone. Burned-out cars, collapsed highways, and the remains of those who had tried to escape. They arrived at the crash site before dawn. The alien ship was massive, half buried in the sand. Its black metal hull was cracked, leaking strange blue energy. The sight was both terrifying and thrilling. "Whatever took this thing down," Ethan muttered, "it wasn't us." So what was it? A dangerous discovery. As the team moved closer, they found something strange. The ship had claw marks, deep, jagged scars along its surface. It looked as if something had attacked it. Inside, the corridors were dark. Sparks flickered from broken walls. The place was dead, except for the faint hum of alien machinery. Then they found the bodies. 3 XL Vorin soldiers lay in the wreckage, their black armor shattered. But it wasn't bullets or explosions that had killed them. Their bodies were twisted, burned from the inside, as if something had ripped through them with raw energy. "What the hell did this?" one of the soldiers whispered. Ethan didn't answer. He had a bad feeling. Something powerful had destroyed these creatures, something that even the XL Vorin feared. And whatever it was, it might still be out there. The alien core. Then Dr. Emily Carter, the team's lead scientist, made the biggest discovery. At the heart of the ship, inside a heavily protected chamber, they found an alien core, a strange glowing device, still pulsing with energy. "This," Emily said, her voice trembling, "this is their power source." Ethan frowned. "You mean their fuel?" "No," she whispered. "Something much bigger. Their asterisk technology is linked. Their entire fleet might be connected through this energy. If they could understand it, maybe they could shut down the alien fleet. Maybe they could win the war." But then the alarms blared. A signal. Someone, or something, had detected them. Outside, the sky darkened as a massive shadow fell over the crash site. A XL Vorin warship had arrived. They had been found. The escape. "Move. Move," Ethan shouted. The soldiers grabbed everything they could. Hard drives, alien weapons, and most importantly, the core. They ran as the alien warship descended, its cannons glowing with deadly energy. Then the first blast hit. The ground exploded, throwing debris everywhere. Ethan barely managed to stay on his feet. His ears rang from the shockwave. A second blast followed, melting the remains of the crashed ship. The XL Vorin were destroying their own wreckage. They didn't want humans to have it. But Ethan and his team had already taken what they needed. As bullets and plasma fire rained down, they fought their way to their vehicles. Some of them didn't make it. The aliens were fast, ruthless, cutting through the soldiers with inhuman precision. But Ethan and Emily reached the transport just in time. The last thing Ethan saw before they sped away was the towering figure of an Excelvoran commander, standing on the battlefield, watching them escape. It didn't chase. It didn't fire. It just stood there, waiting, watching, smiling, and Ethan knew what it meant. This was just the beginning. A war yet to come. Back at the bunker, the survivors analyzed the alien core. Emily worked through the night, trying to decode the energy signature. She believed that if they could understand its function, they could hack into the alien fleet's systems. But time was running out. The Excelvoran knew where they were now. They would come. They would attack. Ethan looked at the survivors, the last hope of humanity. They had one chance, one final move left to make. If they failed, humanity would be wiped out. But if they succeeded, the Excelvoran would learn what it meant to fear humans. The final counterattack was about to begin. Hook for the next part. As Emily worked on the alien core, something unexpected happened. The device activated, and a strange robotic voice filled the room. Warning. Primary system, BREACHET. Initiating PRTOCOL-OMEJ. Ethan's eyes widened. What the hell does that mean? Emily turned pale. It means we just triggered something big. Cracking the enemy's code. The bunker was silent, but the air was heavy with tension. The alien core, glowing with a strange blue energy, had just spoken. Warning. Primary system, BREACHET. Initiating PRTOCOL-OMEJ. The voice was cold, mechanical, unlike anything human. For a few seconds, nobody moved. The soldiers gripped their weapons. Dr. Emily Carter's hands hovered over the control panel, her breath shaky. Commander Ethan Cole narrowed his eyes. Emily, he said, his voice calm but firm. Tell me the thing didn't just alert the entire alien fleet. Emily's fingers flew across the console, scanning the data. I don't know, she admitted. But whatever just activated, it's big. Then the core pulsed, a bright flash of blue light filling the room. The screens around them flickered, glitching. Then something new appeared. It was a map, not of Earth, but of space, and at the center of it all, surrounded by a vast network of enemy signals, was one massive ship. Ethan's stomach dropped. This is it, he whispered. This is their command center, the beating heart of the enemy. Emily's fingers danced across the keyboard, decoding the information. This ship, it's not just their command center, she explained. It's the nerve center of their entire invasion. Every ship in their fleet is connected to this thing. Ethan frowned. Like a hive mind. Exactly. Their ships don't act independently. They follow orders from the command core. If we take this out, she hesitated. If we take it out, she continued, we could shut down their entire fleet. The room went silent. Then, a soldier let out a low whistle. You're saying we could win? Ethan didn't answer right away. His eyes remained locked on the screen. One ship. That was all they needed to destroy. But there was a problem. A big one. It's surrounded by a defensive shield, Emily said, as if reading his mind. Completely impenetrable. Our weapons won't even scratch it. Ethan clenched his jaw. So close, yet still out of reach. Then, a voice crackled through the radio. A voice they didn't recognize. A voice that wasn't human. A mysterious ally. There is another way to stop them. Everyone froze. The radio equipment in the bunker had been offline since the invasion. No signals, no outside communication. But now, someone was speaking to them. I know how to bring down their shields, the voice continued. Ethan grabbed the headset. "Who the hell is this?" A brief silence. Then, "You would not believe me if I told you." The voice was strange, deep, distorted, something that didn't sound entirely real. Emily's fingers raced over the computer. "I don't understand," she muttered. "This isn't coming from Earth. It's being transmitted from space." Ethan's grip tightened on the radio. "If you know something," he said, "now's the time to talk." The voice let out something that sounded like a laugh. But it wasn't a human laugh. "You are fighting the XL Vorin," it said, "but they are not the only ones out there." Ethan felt a chill crawl down his spine. "If you want to bring down their shields, you must go to the dead zone." Emily's eyes widened. "No, no way. That place is suicide." Ethan turned to her. "What's the dead zone?" She hesitated. "It's a part of Earth's orbit where we lost all satellites. Every probe we ever sent there was destroyed." The voice on the radio spoke again. "Because something waits there. Something old. Something powerful. The XL Vorin fear it." Ethan's mind raced. If the XL Vorin feared something, that meant it could hurt them. He made his decision. "We're going," he said. The voice on the radio sighed, almost like it was expecting this answer. "Then may you survive the storm, human." And just like that, the signal cut off. The mission to the dead zone. An hour later, the bunker was alive with activity. Soldiers armed themselves. Pilots prepped the last remaining human aircraft. Ethan stood with Emily as she double-checked the alien core, making sure nothing was left behind. "You really think this is a good idea?" she asked. "No," Ethan admitted. "But if the XL Vorin fear it, then we have to find out why." Emily sighed. "You're crazy, you know that." Ethan smirked. "That's why I'm still alive." They boarded the ship. Engines roared to life. Within minutes, the last of Earth's resistance launched toward space, toward the dead zone. They had no idea what was waiting for them, but whatever it was, it terrified the enemy. And that meant it might be the key to saving humanity. Hook for the next part. As the human ship approached the dead zone, their instruments failed. The screens went black. The lights flickered. Then, a massive shadow moved in the darkness. Something ancient, something awake, and a single message appeared on the screen. "You should not AAVCOM here." What this part adds. A bigger mystery. Who sent the signal? What is in the dead zone? A new goal. Find the weapon or force that the XL Vorin fear. Tension and suspense. They have to face the unknown to stand a chance. A powerful hook. Something huge is waiting, and it knows they are coming. The mission begins. The human ship, Valkyrie, tore through the void of space, heading straight for the dead zone. Commander Ethan Cole stood at the bridge, watching as the stars disappeared behind a strange, swirling darkness. Every sensor on the ship had failed the moment they crossed the boundary. No radar. No communication. Just silence. Something was wrong. Something was here. Dr. Emily Carter sat beside him, her hands flying across the control panel. "I don't like this," she muttered. "This isn't just an empty part of space. It's like something is eating the signals, like the laws of physics don't apply here." Ethan's grip tightened on the metal railing. "Then let's hope whatever's out there is friendly." A soldier behind them, Corporal James Reyes, swallowed hard. "And if it's not?" Ethan didn't answer, because the truth was simple. If it wasn't friendly, they were already dead. A shadow in the dark. The Valkyrie drifted deeper. The silence became suffocating. Even the hum of the engines seemed quieter. Then, bang! Something hit the ship. Hard. The entire crew froze. Weapons drawn. Eyes wide. Another bang. Then, a shape appeared outside the cockpit window. A massive figure, moving through space like a phantom. Not a ship. Not human. Not XL Vorin. Something ancient. And then, as if reality itself was breaking, A voice filled their minds. Not through the radio. Inside their heads. You are not welcome here. Ethan's body went cold. Emily gripped the console, her breathing sharp. Did everyone hear that? Reyes was pale, his voice barely a whisper. Oh my God, it's inside our minds. You should not have come. The ship shook violently. Warnings flashed. The engines died. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the darkness swallowed them whole. The lost city. When Ethan opened his eyes, he was no longer inside the Valkyrie. He was standing on solid ground. Beneath him was black stone, smooth as glass. The air was thick, heavy with energy. The sky above was endless darkness, dotted with stars that seemed wrong, twisted, like they were from another universe. He turned. The rest of the crew was there. Emily, Reyes, the other soldiers. Their ship, the Valkyrie, stood behind them, completely intact. But there were no stars, no planets. They weren't in space anymore. They were somewhere else. And in front of them, rising out of the shadows, was a city built of impossible structures, glowing with ancient symbols. Buildings floated in midair, pathways twisted and turned in ways that defied gravity. The entire place felt alive, pulsing with unseen energy. Emily took a shaky step forward. This shouldn't exist. Ethan's hand went to his weapon. And yet here we are. A deep rumble filled the air. And then, they were not alone. The Ancient Ones. Figures emerged from the darkness. Tall, towering, cloaked in robes of shifting energy. Their faces were hidden behind metallic masks, carved with symbols that glowed with power. They weren't human, and they weren't XL Vorin. One of them stepped forward. Its voice wasn't a sound. It was a feeling, pressing directly into their minds. You have entered the domain of the forgotten. Ethan forced himself to speak. We're here for answers. We're fighting the XL Vorin. We were told you could help us. The figure was silent. Then, slowly, it raised a hand. And suddenly, the entire history of the universe flooded into Ethan's mind. The truth of the war. Flashes of memory. A time before humans. Before the XL Vorin. A war that had burned across galaxies. The XL Vorin had not always been conquerors. Once, long ago, they had been slaves, puppets of something much worse. A force known only as the Hungering Void. A cosmic entity that consumed entire civilizations. The XL Vorin had been created as weapons, biological machines meant to destroy all life. But when they broke free from their masters, they continued the cycle of conquest. Now, they were coming for Earth, and Earth was not ready. The vision ended. Ethan fell to his knees, gasping for air. His head pounded like it had been ripped open. The figure before him spoke again. The XL Vorin cannot be defeated by force alone, but their shields, their defenses, are powered by the old technology. Our technology. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow. So you can help us. The figure's glowing eyes locked onto his. We will not fight your war, human, but we will give you the key to end it. And then, out of the air, a device appeared, floating, humming with unimaginable power. Emily's voice was barely a whisper. What is that? The figure answered. The code that will shatter their shields. Ethan grabbed it. His heart pounded. They finally had a chance. But the figure spoke one last warning. The XL Vorin are not your greatest enemy. If you use this, the true masters of the war will awaken, and they will come for you next. The ground shook. The city faded. And in an instant, they were back on the Valkyrie, as if nothing had happened. Only now, Ethan held the key to Earth's survival in his hands, and he wasn't sure if he had just saved humanity or doomed it. Hook for the next part. As the Valkyrie prepared to return to Earth, alarms blared. A XL Vorin war fleet had appeared, blocking their path. Their leader, A monstrous general with 4 glowing eyes appeared on the screen. "You were warned, human. You should not have taken what is not yours." And outside the ship, the battle for Earth had already begun. What this part adds: bigger mystery. The Vorin were once slaves. To what? New power. The Forgotten give humans the key to breaking enemy shields. Higher stakes. If they use the key, something worse than the Vorin might awaken. Epic hook. The moment they return, the final battle has already started. The heart of the enemy. The Valkyrie was running out of time. Earth was burning. From orbit, the crew could see it. Cities engulfed in flames, oceans boiling under the relentless bombardment of Vorin warships. The final battle for humanity had already begun. And they were trapped. A massive enemy fleet, at least 50 warships, blocked their path. Their sleek black hulls gleamed like obsidian against the void, their weapons charged and aimed. At the center of them all was a single monstrous battleship, larger than anything humans had ever seen. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, alarms blared. "Commander," Ray said, his voice tight with fear. "They're hailing us." Ethan Cole clenched his fists. He already knew who it was. The screen flickered. Then the face of a nightmare appeared. The Vorin warlord. His 4 burning eyes gleamed with a cruel golden light. His armored face was marked with deep scars, trophies of 1,000 conquered worlds. When he spoke, his voice rumbled like a dying star. "You were warned, human." Ethan stared him down. "Yeah, well, I don't take orders from monsters." The warlord chuckled, a deep, unnatural sound. "You stole something that was never meant for your kind. The knowledge of the Forgotten is not yours to wield." Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Ethan glanced at Emily, who held the device. The key to shutting down the Vorin shields. The only thing that could turn the tide of this war. "We're using it," Ethan said coldly. "And you can't stop us." The warlord's eyes flared. "Then you will die screaming." The transmission cut. And then, all 50 warships opened fire. The impossible escape. "Evasive maneuvers," Ethan shouted. The Valkyrie dove hard, barely avoiding the first barrage. The vacuum of space lit up with plasma fire, beams of raw energy slicing through the void. Reyes gritted his teeth, gripping the controls. "They're closing in fast. We can't outrun them." Emily's fingers flew across the computer screen. "The key. If I can activate the key, we might be able to disable their shields now." Ethan nodded. "Do it." Emily slammed the activation switch. The alien device hummed to life, glowing with a strange, shifting light. It pulsed once, twice, then released a silent shockwave across space. And everything changed. The fall of the shields. On the enemy warships, something malfunctioned. The Vorin shields, once impenetrable, flickered, died. For the first time since the invasion began, they were vulnerable. One of the smaller warships suddenly exploded, torn apart by its own failing energy core. The rest of the fleet reeled, scrambling to react. Ethan didn't hesitate. All ships, open fire. From Earth's surface, the last surviving human forces, hidden bases, underground bunkers, old missile silos, launched everything they had left. A barrage of nuclear warheads and kinetic railgun strikes erupted from the planet, slamming into the now defenseless Vorin fleet. Warships shattered, breaking apart like glass under a hammer. The Valkyrie weaved through the chaos, dodging debris as the once invincible enemy fell into disarray. Rise laughed, a wild, victorious sound. "We did it. Their shields are down. Where actually?" Then the enemy flagship moved, and everything changed again. The warlord's wrath. The massive Vorin battleship surged forward, cutting through its own burning fleet like a predator among prey. Unlike the others, its shields had barely flickered. Emily's face paled. No, No, no. That ship is different. The warlord's voice echoed through the Valkyrie's comms, like a god speaking from the abyss. You think you have won. You are nothing but insects. And I. The flagship's main cannon began to charge, an unimaginable amount of energy gathering at its core. I will burn your world to dust. Then, with a blinding explosion of light, the weapon fired. A beam of energy, the size of a continent, streaked toward Earth. Ethan's heart stopped. Nothing could stop that blast. Nothing. Except the final gamble. Something moved. Not human. Not Excelvoran. Something else. From the darkness of space, a second shockwave erupted, even stronger than the first. And suddenly, the warlord's beam bent, twisting, cracking, shattering, before it could hit Earth. The energy collapsed in on itself, forming a swirling black hole that swallowed the attack whole. Emily gasped. That wasn't us. Then they saw it, emerging from the shadows of the dead zone. A ship. No, a god. Massive beyond comprehension. Older than any race. Its surface was black, smooth, shifting like liquid metal. Symbols pulsed across its hull, the same symbols they had seen in the Forgotten City. It had been waiting, watching, and now it had chosen to act. The end of the warlord. For the first time, the Excelvoran warlord looked afraid. No, he whispered. They were supposed to be dead. The ancient ship unfolded itself, its body shifting into impossible shapes. A light as bright as a dying sun formed at its center. Then, it fired. A single, silent pulse of energy. It did not explode. It did not burn. It simply erased the Excelvoran flagship from existence. 1 second, the warlord was there. The next, he was gone. A new dawn, and a warning. The battle was over. With the warlord dead and their shields gone, the Excelvoran fled. Humanity had survived. But as the crew of the Valkyrie looked upon the ancient ship, a final message filled their minds. A warning. You have won this battle. But the war is far from over. The ones who created the Excelvoran will return. Ethan exhaled, his hands shaking. Then we'll be ready. The ship vanished into the void. And Earth, for now, was free. Hook for the final part. A new transmission appears on Earth's satellites. A deep alien voice. You have meddled in forces beyond your understanding. The true war begins now. And in the darkness of space, something stirs. Something far worse than the Excelvoran. Why this part stands out. Unexpected twist. The Forgotten's power is revealed. High stakes. Earth was seconds from destruction. Bigger mystery. Who created the Excelvoran? What's coming next? Epic action. The warlord was terrifying. But something stronger just appeared. The final stand. Earth had survived. The Excelvoran were retreating. The warlord was gone, erased by an ancient force older than time itself. The skies, once filled with burning alien warships, were now silent. But Ethan Cole wasn't celebrating. Because he knew this war wasn't over. Not even close. The message from the void. The Valkyrie hovered in orbit, scanning for survivors. Cities lay in ruins, oceans boiled from orbital strikes, and the last of Earth's military forces crawled out of hiding. Then a new transmission appeared on every satellite, every radio, every screen still functioning. A voice. Deep, cold, not Excelvoran. You have broken the cycle. Ethan's blood ran cold. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The voice continued. The Excelvoran were never meant to fall. They were merely the first wave. A map flashed across their screens. Not of Earth, not of any known star system. A distant black void, deeper than the darkest parts of space, and something inside it. Something waking up. You have drawn the attention of the hungering void. Now it is coming. The message cut off. Silence. And then, Every star on the map flickered out. The sky burns again. "Commander," Rise whispered, his voice shaking. Outside, the darkness of space shifted. Something moved. Not ships, not creatures. Something bigger, a black tendril, thick as a mountain, stretched across the stars, a shape so vast that it blocked entire constellations. Emily's hands trembled over the console. "This isn't an invasion," she said. "It's something else." Ethan clenched his jaw. A god. The hungering void had arrived. The war nobody expected. The retreating Selvoran fleet stopped. The remaining alien warships, once so terrifying, now looked like ants next to the impossible black mass rising from the void. Then the screaming began. Not from humans. From the Selvoran. Their warships cracked apart, as if something inside them was being ripped away. "Something's pulling them in," Rice shouted. The Selvoran were devoured, their ships crushed into nothingness, their warriors screaming in rage and terror before vanishing into the abyss. It wasn't attacking them. It was absorbing them. Feeding. Emily gasped. The Selvoran were never the conquerors. Ethan's eyes darkened. They were the cattle. And now, with nothing left to consume, it had turned its gaze on Earth. The only option left. Ethan took a breath. Weapons. Ray shook his head. "Nothing we have can scratch that thing." Emily's mind raced. Then her eyes flicked toward the alien key, the technology they had stolen from the Forgotten. "The Forgotten built the Selvoran's shields," she said, "and they broke their shields with this." Ethan's heart pounded. "You're saying we can use this against whatever this is?" Emily hesitated. "I don't know what will happen, but if we do nothing—" She didn't need to finish. Ethan nodded. "Do it." She activated the key. The impossible strike. The alien device hummed, sending a pulse of energy directly at the hungering void. For the first time, it reacted. The endless black shape staggered, shifting like a wounded beast. And then it screamed. A soundless shockwave ripped through space. The Valkyrie shook violently, warning lights flashing as every system overloaded. But then, the stars reappeared. The black tendrils shrank back. The darkness collapsed in on itself, folding into a single point of nothingness. And then, it was gone. The hungering void had retreated. For now. The price of victory. The crew sat in stunned silence. Rise let out a nervous chuckle. "So, did we just scare off a god?" Emily shook her head. "No, we just made it. Notice us." Ethan turned back to the Earth. The war had cost them everything. Cities were rubble. Billions were gone, but they were still standing. For now. Then the console flashed with a final message. From the Forgotten. It read, "You have survived today, but the true war has only just begun." Ethan exhaled. Then he smiled. Let them come. And for the first time in history, humanity had not just survived. They had made the universe afraid. Why this part stands out. Bigger twist. The Selvoran were never the real enemy. True horror revealed. The hungering void is an eldritch force beyond comprehension. An unexpected victory. They didn't defeat it, but they made it retreat. A perfect sequel book. The real war is still coming. Humanity's victory, or extinction. The battlefield was silent. For the first time since the invasion began, the skies above Earth were clear. No more Selvoran warships. No more burning wreckage falling from orbit. The hungering void had retreated, its black tendrils vanishing beyond the stars. Humanity had survived. But deep inside, Commander Ethan Cole knew the truth. This was not a victory. This was a warning. The survivors. The Valkyrie landed near what was left of Fort Jericho, one of Earth's last underground bunkers. Soldiers and civilians crawled out from the ruins, eyes filled with disbelief. They had fought. They had suffered. And somehow, They were still alive. Ethan stepped onto the cracked earth. The air smelled like smoke and death. The planet was wounded, broken beyond repair. Emily Carter stood beside him, clutching the alien key, the device that had turned the tide of war. The device that had made the void retreat. "We should be celebrating," she said softly. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Yeah, we should." He looked up. The stars still shined, but they felt different now, as if something was still watching, waiting. The message from the future. As the last survivors gathered, a signal pinged on the Valkyrie's console. Emily rushed to check it. Her eyes widened. "This isn't possible." Ethan stepped closer. "What is it?" Emily's voice was barely a whisper. "This transmission, it's from Earth." Reyes frowned. "We're on Earth." Emily shook her head. "No, not this Earth." She turned the screen. Ethan's blood ran cold. The transmission was coming from Earth, but thousands of years in the future. A deep, distorted voice spoke. "If you are hearing this, then you have already seen them. The void, the ones who consume. We tried to fight. We failed. They are coming, and you must do what we could not." The message glitched, as if something was corrupting it. Then, a final, desperate warning. "The cycle repeats. Break it or become dust." The transmission cut off. Silence. Ethan clenched his fists. The message was clear. Humanity had delayed the void, but they hadn't stopped it. It would return. And next time, it wouldn't leave. A glimpse of the enemy. That night, as the survivors gathered around the fires, something changed in the sky. A tear appeared, just for a moment. A thin, glowing crack in space, barely visible to the human eye. And through it, something looked back. A shape vast and endless. No eyes, no face, only hunger. A voice, barely a whisper, echoed through the air. Not a threat, not a promise, just a single word. Soon. Then the crack closed, and the stars went back to shining. But they no longer felt like humanity's stars. They belonged to something else, something that was still coming. Epilogue. The beginning of the end days passed. The last survivors worked to rebuild. The Earth, scared and battered, still stood. But Ethan knew they didn't have much time. They had defeated an army, but not the true enemy. As he stood on a ruined mountaintop, overlooking what was left of the world, Reyes approached him. "We beat them," Reyes said. "We did the impossible." Ethan didn't look away from the sky. "No," he said quietly. "We just bought time." The real war hadn't even begun. And when it did, humanity would either become legends, or they would become dust. Final hook for a sequel. Deep in the void, beyond human understanding, something stirs. Not a creature, not a fleet, a force that devours stars. And now it knows Earth's name. The war is coming. But this time, humanity will be ready. Why this ending is unique. Twist reveal. Humanity's true enemy is not gone. It's waiting. Time paradox mystery. A warning from the future suggests Earth has already lost once. A sequel setup. The war has only just begun. Final chilling moment. Something in the void knows Earth exists now.